Good afternoon, and welcome to Faith in Politics with me, Eileen. Oh, let me get my mic together. And I got it right today, y'all. Good afternoon. It is April 8th. It is April 8th. Yes, I had to get my mic together. It is April 8th. Welcome to Faith in Politics with me, Eileen. We are here on Tuesday, April 8th. I am excited about this show. I say that every day that I have a show, but I am excited. I'm excited to be alive. It's really crazy. Today's show is about New Orleans. It's about the departments, offices, boards, and commissions. I'm going to break them down directly from my book. Faith in Politics Today. It is available on Amazon now, so go get it. I actually have some that I ordered. So if you're interested in having a signed copy, let me know because they'll be coming in. Actually, they're supposed to be coming in today, so I'm excited about that. So I will have some copies available for you to have signed. So if you're interested in having a signed version of the book, let me know, and we will definitely get that to you. Today's conversation is going to be about New Orleans departments, offices, boards, and commissions. But before I jump into that, it's crazy because if y'all didn't know, I do walk with the Lord. If you're not familiar with the fivefold of the Lord, the fivefold are the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the pastors, and the teachers. And I walk in the fivefold. And with that being said, I walk in a lot of synchronicities, and people think that coincidences do not exist. Let me let you know, it is real out here. And so when I was preparing for today's show, I wasn't even going to say all this, but obedient when the Lord directs, I do so. I was preparing for today's show, and I opened a journal, and it was nuts because I had a journal entry, and the first page was from April 8th. And I was like, wait, I didn't write anything. So I had to look. I was like, oh, this is April 8th of 2024. And so I got to have a little trip down memory lane about what was happening in my life last year on April 8th, because if you all don't know, I was in a drive-by shooting on April 15th of last year. And I was thinking about popping on here to have a show just about that. Maybe if my son was interested, have it with him. I thought it would be very healing, and a testimony is always by the words of our testimony, you heal someone else. So I always like to share, or I'm at the point where I'm more comfortable sharing so that, maybe it will heal someone else. And it's crazy because number one, next Tuesday, y'all know I have a show every Tuesday. Next Tuesday is actually April 15th. So I said, oh, Lord, he has it scheduled already. So I will clearly be talking about it because it'll be on my mind, because it'll be our 1-year anniversary from the shooting. If you didn't know, my son and I were in a drive-by shooting last April 15th. And my son was hit. He is healing now. He's healed. I was not hit at all. I will say by the grace of the Lord told me at one point to lay over my son in the second round of shots, which was over 30 shots. None of them touched us. So if you do not believe Christ, today is the day to believe, because I am literally a testimony, because I should not be sitting here in front of you right now. And when the Lord calls you to do something, you do it. He did not have me live for no reason. I have purpose. We all have purpose. And when you find out what that purpose is, I encourage each and every one of you to stand up and go, because that's what the Lord is calling us to do right now. He is calling us to go. And so when I was reading my entry from April 8th of last year, the Lord had me stop and read. I'm going to go into the two things he had me read because I believe it's really important for this time. And I believe it's going to help someone who's going to listen to this broadcast either live or later. So the Lord had me read Isaiah 52. And this was April 8th of 2024, y'all. So 1 year to the day. I was not even looking for this. It found me. So it's for today. When I wrote this entry, I'm just being very vulnerable and open. The relationship you have with your family members, once you start your walk with Jesus, it changes. If they do not have their own consistent walk with Jesus, the people around you may not understand. And honestly, it's not for them to understand. Everybody has their own walk with the Lord. And I encourage each and every one of you, do not get off the wall. Like Nehemiah, do not get off the wall. People may be trying to get you off of it. Do not get off the wall. So the Lord had me read, and this was last year, like I said, Isaiah. It was Isaiah 52:1, and it said, deliverance from Jerusalem. Speaking of it, when I was just talking about family and people lying on your name, creating stories, creating narratives that just aren't true, and it's just it's really sad when you have people around you who do these things to you. So it's Isaiah 52:1. Wake up, O Zion, clothe yourself with strength. Put on your beautiful clothes, O holy city of Jerusalem, for unclean and godless people will enter your gates no longer. And so that's what I'm here to really offer each and every one of you today. Put on your beautiful clothes. And it was funny because before I even put on this top today, I put on this top before I read this, and I was like, Lord, you knew what you were doing. You clothed me with love. My son called me this morning and said he got a great grade on one of his exams, and we were just so excited. So I was like, I'm putting on this top because just spreading the love today because I was excited for him. So that's what it was about. And then I read this entry that the Lord had me write on April 8th of last year. And it said, clothe yourself with strength, put on your beautiful clothes. And I was just like, all right, Lord. He said, oh, holy city of Jerusalem, for unclean and godless people will enter your gates no longer. And I declare and decree that over each and every one of you today. We will not have godless people entering our gates. The Lord has given us dominion, and it's time for us to walk in it, and we aren't playing any games. I'm over it. I'm over being lied on. I'm over of the narratives. If you want to have a conversation with me, have a conversation with me. Because if you're not having a conversation with me, then clearly you're just having it to create some attention. And they have a lot of attention seekers these days, and it's really baffling. But devils will be devils and demons will be demons, and people are going to do what they got to do. And when I tell you, you come from me, you're going to meet the Lord, and it is what it is. So the Lord also had me he had me read Isaiah 52 through 54. So this was also what he brought up to my recollection when I was reading that. It was Isaiah 53:5, and it reads, but he was pierced for our rebellion, crushed for our sins. Isaiah 53:7 reads, he was oppressed and treated harshly, yet he never said a word. He was led like a lamb to the sheep is silent before the shearers. He did not open his mouth. And I say this for each and every one of you who have had to just stay silent in seasons where you've been lied on. The Lord is vindicating us, and what you may think you want something to happen to somebody or you don't, but I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. I don't want anything bad. I want everyone to know the Lord in their way. Like, I have a personal relationship with Jesus, and, it's not religion. I don't follow religion. I follow Jesus, and it's 100% a relationship. And I offer that to each and every one of you because it's very different. And when you do start this walk and expand on this walk and really get to know him, you will see the people around you, and demons don't like to be seen. They like to hide, and they are in your family members. They are in your friends. They are in your associates. And, there are times where you need to let people go. And I'm telling you, I had to do that because I'm reading back on April 8th of last year. And I was reading about all the people who surrounded me, family and friends. And yes, all of them basically, because when I read it, I was like, dang, I kind of gave a word for every single one of them. And I was like, yes, he was reminding me that, the time is now. We've been quiet. He is going to vindicate us. And when there is time for us to speak, he will let us know to speak. But until then, stand on Isaiah 53:7. Jesus was oppressed and treated harshly, yet he never said a word. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter. As a sheep is silent before the shearers, he did not open his mouth. And so I believe right now, we need to stay quiet, and we need to really follow the Lord. And when he releases us to speak, then we'll speak. But they have a lot of liars out there. They have a lot of deceivers, and they have a lot of people who speak on other people's names. And so I offer you to look beyond it, because when people try to create a group and they try to create a narrative, you need to really look at the group rather than the person. You see these people who are attacked by all of these people at the same time. I used to just kind of like jump on the bandwagon like everybody else, but we need to stop doing that. We need to be like, Why are all these people against this one person? Like, what happened? And then going back to that, I think it's a great example of the recall that the Lord called me to do in 2022. They had all these people who were talking bad about me, all these people who had something to say, but nobody would have a conversation with me to my face. And so I say, hey, have a conversation with me to my face. If you have something to say, I have a conversation with everybody. I speak truth. But if you're going to have a conversation behind my back and you're not going to have a conversation with me, rectify anything, you just want some attention. And so that's what people are dealing with right now. They're dealing with just want attention. And so if you get the attention from talking bad about somebody else, well, then what does that say about you and your character? So I think we all need to check ourselves and check the people around us and check the scenarios that we live in and honestly look at what's going on and not always jump on the bandwagon and not always say, oh, they said this about her because they said I was 100% a Republican and I was going against, this, that, and the other. It could be the farthest thing from the truth. My family is like 100% blue, have funded the Democratic Party for years. And actually, I left the Democratic Party, to be perfectly honest, or I should say the Democratic Party left me. I am currently a no party. I was independent, but I really wanted to switch 100%. So I am 100% no party because I don't want to be under anybody. I am under the altar of Jesus Christ only, and that is the Kingdom Party. And so if you're on the Kingdom Party, then we are team here. If you're not, then I don't know what to say, but it is what it is. And so just as a reminder of what was going on for April 8th, 2024 last year, y'all, this is nuts. But it was the eclipse. The eclipse was going on last year. So if y'all don't remember, the eclipse was the sign of Jonah. It was the passing through of the eclipse passed through multiple cities named Nineveh. And the Lord has been calling America to repentance. The Lord has been calling New Orleans to repentance for a long time. I have been prophesying about it since forward facing since at least 2021. I've been speaking about this. People, Eileen's crazy, whatever. Well, you know what? When you're a prophet and you speak out, most people think you're crazy. It's not the popular people standing in the pulpit that are generally giving you the word of God that is from the Holy Spirit. Because a lot of times they don't want the Holy Spirit in their churches because it would give much revelation and you would see who they are. So a lot of our leaders, in every aspect, whether it is political, whether it is in our religious capacities, and I say churches because we are the church, so I don't like to say the church, in the buildings, those leaders, a lot of them aren't leaders, and they are speaking their truth, and they're not delivering the Bible and the truths to you all, and it's saddening. And the Lord is calling us to repentance, and he's calling them to the table. You will see a lot of people passing. I've said it for years. You can go back in my prophecies. Like I said, this is Faith in Politics Today. Today is episode 29. Episodes 1 through 19 are more of prophetic and words that the Lord has given me for the past 3 years. 4 years at this point. And episodes 20 through right now, 29 are more political, but here we go. This one's going to be mixed. So there's a little bit of both. And so I didn't know that this is what I was going to say, but this is what the Lord had me say, and I'm going to be obedient and I'm going to release his word. So everybody who is going up against the Lord's children, all I got to say for you is be careful. Because your time is coming. It is tick-tock, and you have already chosen sides. The line in the line in the sand has already been drawn, and people are getting their vengeance doled out in tablespoons, not teaspoons. You're not going to take the medicine in a teaspoon. You getting it, maybe shoveling it, and that's what's going on now. And you know what? I don't have an opinion because at this point, the Lord has given people enough warning, and they're not listening. And so, like I said years ago, when the Lord gave me the prophecies for New Orleans, it was a 3-year process. Judgment, cleanse, and revival. You can't get to revival. You can't have the happiness. You can't have the joy and all that other stuff if you don't go through the cleanse. And so New Orleans is about to see a major cleanse. Judgment has already happened. People have chosen their sides. You can see it right now. You can see it with the Catholic Church, what's going on in the Catholic Church in New Orleans. You can see it with our administration, what's going on in our administration. Our administration is under federal investigation and has been for years. So we eventually have to find an end to this investigation, right? We have to know what happened. And so when the end comes, you're going to find out. I just hope that everyone has repented because as in Revelation 2, everyone who tolerated that spirit goes to. Everyone who tolerated that spirit is going to feel the effects. And so that's not just the person, that is everyone around them who tolerated them and lied to God's people. And so that's what's going down. And so I'm over being lied on. And I know y'all over being lied on if you're truly walking with the Lord, because it is just what happens. And honestly, I see it as a badge of honor at this point, because clearly I must be something to talk about if you're talking. It is what it is. Welcome to episode 29 of Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. I had to deliver that word from the Lord because vengeance is here. It is what it is. I have no opinion. So with that, we are going to jump into the political side of this conversation today, which is departments, offices, boards, and commissions. So if you did not know, in our city charter, well, let me just read this first. The city of New Orleans operates under a mayor-council form of government. As outlined in its home rule charter, this structure delineates the roles and responsibilities of various departments, boards, and commissions, each serving specific functions to ensure effective governance. Now, let me explain why it doesn't really say offices, because your offices are not entrenched into the city charter. And that's very important information, especially, and this actually came up very recently with regard to Lincoln Beach. So I try to take, some of the civic information I'm giving you and connect it with something that's going on in the city so that you can have, a real comparison, so you can just make the connection a little bit easier. So when the people I could just say his name, when Sage went up to express concerns about Lincoln Beach, one of his concerns was that the office that was over handling Lincoln Beach is the Office of Sustainability, Resilience and Sustainability. It is not a department that is governed under the city charter. The offices are created by mayors. So a mayor can create an office of, and so I'll go into all of those specifically later, and I'm going to name all the departments, all the offices, and give you a list of your major boards and commissions, because there's like 100 of them. So I'm not going to give you every single one, but I'm going to give you the major ones so you can really have an idea of who runs this city, how the city is run, and how you can get on these boards and commissions and understand the difference between the departments and the offices in the city and who runs what. Because if we don't understand who runs what, then we're going to have problems. And it's just really important. So again, as outlined in the Home Rule Charter, the structure delineates the roles and responsibilities of various departments, boards, and commissions, each serving specific functions to ensure effective governance. So let's start with the executive branch. Our executive branch is the mayor. I'm not talking about a specific person. We're talking about the office of, because just like we know, we're going to have a new mayor chosen at the end of this year. So we're talking about the office of the mayor and who has the power. Currently, our mayor is Latoya Cantrell, and so she has the power. When we get to the city council, currently we have 7 council members, and you have 2 at large, which is J.P. Morrell and Helene Moreno. And then you have Jeruso, who's over A. You have Leslie Harris over B. You have Eddie. I'm sorry. What's his name? I can't think of his name. C. D is Green. King. I'm sorry. King is over C. You have Green over D, and then you have Oliver Thomas, who is over E. And so those are your council members. So when I say mayor and city council, it's for the offices, but I just explained who are the people who are holding those offices as we speak right now. So the departments, the city is organized into various departments, each responsible for specific functions. The heads of these departments are appointed by the mayor. The mayor-council structure, which is a type of structure, is a system of checks and balances. And so this is important because the mayor appoints all of the department heads. And as we now know, because this changed with a vote of the people, that the city council now approves the department heads. And it came to this vote because there was so much conflict in this past 8 years with people not having, in the city's opinion, the ability to run that specific department correctly. And why this is so important is because the mayor is a strategic decision maker. The mayor is not going to be an expert on everything. I mean, you just can't expect that. The mayor is not an expert on everything, but that's why you hire the best people to be around you. You want experts in all of these things around you so that we can make good decisions for the residents and for the city of New Orleans. So that's why it's important. So the mayor's role. The mayor appoints heads of departments and offices and members of boards and commissions, subject to city council approval. These entities are established through various legal means, including the Louisiana Constitution, the city's homeroom charter, ordinances, and executive orders. Each has specific functions and is overseen by designated authorities. And it's important to know who does what, and that's why we're having this conversation today. So, the executive departments under the mayor. So I'm going to give you these departments are under the city charter. And it's important to understand, like I stated at the beginning, the departments are designated in the charter. The offices are not. So I'm going to go through the departments and then I'm going to go through the offices so you can see the difference. So you understand the offices can be removed by a mayor very easily. They do not have to go through the city council or any charter change. But the departments would need a charter change if you want to change anything with regard to the departments. So the executive departments under the mayor are as follows. The Department of Law. The city attorney is the key legal officer within the city government with responsibilities outlined in the city charter. The city attorney provides legal counsel and representation for the mayor, city council, and all departments, ensuring that the city's legal matters are handled effectively and in compliance with the law. So why is this important, especially now? As you see with the mayor and the city council not agreeing on so many things, the city council is like, hey, this is problematic because the city council does not believe or feel that the law department is handling the affairs of the city council appropriately. The city council is feeling like the mayor, where if we read the city now, the city attorney provides legal counsel and representation for the mayor, city council, and all city departments. So the city attorney is supposed to be covering the mayor, the city council, and all the departments. But right now there is a disconnect between the mayor and the city council, and the city council feels as if the city attorney is only handling the mayor in her point of view and is not taking into account any other viewpoints. And so that's where you're seeing a lot of contention happen right now. So the next department under the mayor or person under the mayor, it's a department, would be the Chief Administrative Office, which is our CAO. Our CAO in the city of New Orleans is Gilbert Montano. Why you might know that name right now is because Gilbert Montano was the person that had the conversation or the agreement with the Orleans Parish School Board, who came into the agreement with the $20 million, the two $10 million deposits, and then the payments over the next couple of years. That the mayor said, oh, no, you can't do that. I didn't agree to it. So the chief administrative officer is responsible for overseeing the daily operations of the executive branch of city government, ensuring that all departments and agencies function efficiently and effectively. The CAO is a critical role within the mayor's administration with a focus on implementing policies and programs as outlined by the mayor and city council. Yet, the CAO reports to the mayor. So this is why you're seeing a lot of back and forth, because as it says, the CAO, it's outlined in the charter that he is supposed to have a focus on implementing policies and programs as outlined by the mayor and the city council. So with the mayor and the city council not necessarily being very disconnected, he's in a very tough position because he is supposed to make sure the policies and programs are implemented for both the mayor and the city council. So he's like in a rock and a hard place, and it just is what it is because he reports to the mayor. He does not report to the city council. Now, the city council can call in the CAO's office and ask questions, but the CAO reports to the mayor. So next, the Department of Finance. Now, this is important as well, too, because the Department of Finance just went and sat in front of City Council and said, hey, we have a budget problem and we're about to jump off this cliff and stop. We can't pay this payment. And the City Council is like, wait, we're not in a financial situation. So what is it? So that's where the one of the Bureau of Government, they came out and they put out this report which says that the city of New Orleans is not acting fiscally responsible right now. So that is a report. You should go look it up. And actually, if you catch my blast, which is every Tuesday at 10, I send it out before the show. I put in a link to that. So make sure you follow me in all of my, especially on Instagram. You can go there in the link section and you can go hit join. I will put the information out there for you to join right under these shows once the show is done. And you can just text your join and your email, and then you can join Faith in Politics and you'll get all this information as well. But all of this information is also available in my book, Faith in Politics Today. It is available on Amazon. So shout out to my book. Y'all, I wrote a book. I'm so excited about myself because I was just like, I never thought I'd write a book, but here I am, an author. And so I hope each and every one of you really taps into the information, because they like to keep us ignorant, and I like to educate people, because I believe when we're educated, then we can do something and engage population, engage a constituency, can really change things. Like in my last episode, we discussed engagement can root out corruption. And I think that they don't want us to engage because they don't want it to be rooted out. But guess what? Here I am. I'm going to deliver the information to you, and hopefully you share it with people in your spheres of influence. And if you cannot afford the book, please DM me. I will email you the link to the PDF. So I want to make sure the information is out there for everyone. So the next department, the Department of Public Safety. And like I'm saying, I'm getting all of this information from our city charter. The Department of Public Safety oversees public safety initiatives, including law enforcement, emergency medical services, EMS, fire protection, and disaster response. Includes the NOPD, the New Orleans Fire Department, and EMS. Each agency is led by a chief who reports to the mayor. So again, your NOPD, your EMS, your NOFD, they all have a chief who reports to the mayor. The next department, Department of Public Works. Everybody wants to know about this department because, y'all, this is our streets. This is our roads. We need to know about this department. The Department of Public Works. They call them DPW. If you've ever heard them saying that, DPW, that's what they're talking about. So your Department of Public Works is responsible for maintaining city infrastructure, including roads, sidewalks, street lights, and storm drainage systems. It is overseen by the Director of Public Works, who reports to the mayor. So the Department of Works is responsible for maintaining city infrastructure, including roads, sidewalks, streetlights, stormwater drainage systems. It's overseen by a Director of Public Works who reports to the mayor. The next department is the Department of Housing and Economic Development. This department focuses on economic growth, affordable housing, and urban development. It is overseen by the Director of Housing and Economic Development, who reports to the mayor. We also have a Department of Health. The Department of Health oversees public health policies and services in New Orleans. It's led by our Director of Health, who is Jennifer Avegno, and she reports to the mayor. And why this is important, during COVID, a lot of us would know that New Orleans was able to set its own policies. The only reason New Orleans was able to set its own policies during COVID is because we have our own Department of Health. Everywhere else in the state of Louisiana had to abide by the state's guidance because the state has a Department of Health. New Orleans is the only city or parish or whatever you want to call it in Louisiana out of the state that has its own department. It is only because we had our own Department of Health that we were able to create our own initiatives in New Orleans, which were separate and apart to the state of Louisiana. And that is an important part that people need to understand. That is why we were able to make our own decisions in the city of New Orleans, is because we have our own Department of Health that is written into our city charters. Okay, the next department is the Department of Parks and Parkways. That department manages public parks, squares, recreational spaces, neutral grounds, golf courses, and community spaces. It is important to know that. So your Department of Parks and Parkways, again, manages public parks, squares, recreational spaces, neutral grounds, golf courses, and community spaces. This includes like Jackson Square and things like that. It is overseen by the Director of Parks and Recreation, who reports to the mayor. Next department is the Department of Property Management. Oh, Lord. The Department of Property Management is responsible for the management of city-owned properties, including public buildings and facilities. This department is led by a Director of Property and Management, who reports to the mayor. Now, this is important because we've seen our NOPD headquarters. We've seen some of our NOPD district stations. We've seen our libraries. We've seen facilities like the old NOFD training facility. You've seen a lot of these facilities go vacant, go blighted, or, they have terrible heating. Their HVAC systems aren't working. We need to know who is responsible for what. So the Department of Property Management is responsible for the management of city-owned properties, including public buildings and facilities. It is led by a Director of Property Management, who reports to the mayor. The next department is the Department of Human Services. Provides social services and support programs for vulnerable populations, overseen by the Director of Human Services, who reports to who? The mayor. Department of Safety and Permits. I know a lot of us have heard about this department recently. Why? Because we've had a lot of things falling down in the city of New Orleans. We've heard recently on the news that they are backlog since August of 24 with regard to permitting, which slows down construction in the city. It slows down business development. It slows down all kinds of stuff, which is why a lot of people, don't want to do business with the city of New Orleans and start doing their businesses outside of New Orleans or on the perimeter in neighboring parishes, because it's too hard to do business in the city of New Orleans, and it's a problem. And right now, you do know that there was a federal investigation for things happening in the Department of Safety and Permits. And actually, it was just on the news last night that the person who was a whistleblower in safety and permits was either put on leave or fired. I'm not sure which one, but there was an issue with that. I believe it was on WDSU last night. So shout out to them for, following up with the story. It's sad that if you tell the truth about this administration, then they just try to cancel you, remove you from city government, and quiet you, and they retaliate against their residents. I know firsthand that it happens. It's really sad, but it is time for us to really support one another and take up for one another, because if we don't, then who's going to do it? As we know, I know firsthand during the recall, our elected officials didn't do it. We had over 50,000 residents that spoke up and said, we weren't happy with the direction of the city of New Orleans. And now 2 years later, look where we are, and still none of them have spoken up for the issues that we brought up. The next department is the Department of Code Enforcement. Again, like I said, we had with the buildings falling. The Department of Code Enforcement is responsible for enforcing building graffiti cleanup, and mowing vacant lawns while ensuring healthy and habitable properties. It is led by a director who reports to the mayor. So the Department of Code Enforcement, again, is responsible for enforcing building codes, graffiti cleanup, and mowing vacant lawns while ensuring safety, healthy, and habitable properties, and it's led by a director who reports to the mayor. So as we drive around the city of New Orleans, if you see any buildings that are, out of code, graffiti, overgrown, vacant lawns, and things that need to be taken care of, if you see properties that are uninhabitable and are really causing confusion in the neighborhoods, you know where to go to your Department of Code Enforcement. And as I said, this department is in the charter and is led by the mayor. But not least, our Department of Sanitation. Y'all, we know this has been in the news because with the back and forth, well, we know since Ida, we haven't had a two-day a week trash pickup. It was decided for us without any community involvement that we were going to have 1 day trash pickup for a major municipality. That is nuts, but it is what it is. That's what our mayor decided for each and every one of us. And so that's where we are today. There's currently litigation with regard to the French Quarter sanitation contracts. We've heard a lot about that. And it is what it is. Y'all know what's going on. It is It's just a travesty, in my opinion. There's so many things we need to be focused on, and these should be things that should be seamless at this point, but unfortunately, they aren't. And again, the Department of Sanitation directs all activities related to garbage collection, disposal, recycling, and street cleaning. It is overseen by a director who reports to the mayor. So those are departments that are ingrained in our city charter. This next group of offices, and I'm giving them differently. Those are departments. These are offices. Offices are created through the mayor with executive orders or things of that sort. These are not written into the city charter. So these offices can be changed and maneuvered with a new mayor or administration. So this list is longer, and it may surprise you that these are not departments, but I'm going to explain to you what they are. The Office of Economic Development promotes economic growth, job creation, and business development. It is overseen by the Director of Economic Development, who reports to the mayor. We have an Office of Cultural Economy. The Office of Cultural Economy promotes cultural initiatives and supports the city's arts, entertainment, and tourism sector. It is led by the Director of Office of Cultural Economy, who reports to the mayor. We have an Office of Film and Video Commission. It is oversees the city's film and video industry, helping to attract productions and coordinate filming within the city. It is led by an executive director who reports to the mayor. The Office of Neighborhood Engagement. The Office of Neighborhood Engagement is a city's mechanism for public participation in government decision-making. It is led by a director who reports to the mayor. There's an Office of Communication responsible for informing the public on all city matters, responding to media requests and public records requests. It is led by a director who reports to the mayor. The Office of Community Assets develops strategies that activate publicly owned assets and works to advance policy changes around land use and housing affordability. It has a director who reports to the mayor. Office of Community Development. Its focus is to create neighborhoods that are better places to live, work, and play. It's supposed to be over strategic planning, affordable housing, environmental compliance, intake and construction units. It's led by a director who does what? Reports to the mayor. There's an Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Did you know that? Yep, we have an Office of Gun Violence Prevention, coordinates, funds, and evaluates public health gun violence reduction, interventions, and their outcomes. It's led by a director who reports to the mayor. We have an Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. This office serves as New Orleans' coordinating agency for public safety and emergency management. They oversee administration of all crisis response protocols, safeguarding New Orleans. It's led by a director who reports to the mayor. Why this office is important, and you're hearing it right now, because there was confusion between the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness and the chief of NOPD. And like I said earlier, the chief of NOPD is in a department. So that office is in the charter. The Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness is an office, and that's where the difference is. The next office, the Office of Homeless Services and Strategy. This is a relatively new office that the mayor created in the last couple of years. It provides support and resources for those experiencing homelessness in the community. It's led by a director who reports to the mayor. Why this is important? Because in this past week, there was an audit that was put out with regard to the Office of Homeless Services and Strategy, and it says that the office is not the communication source between the residents, the homeless community, and the office itself, and the partnering nonprofit Unity, who does the bulk of the work in New Orleans. The communication is not doing well, or was not doing well. I can't say what it is today. That's what the audit said, and they said between 2019 and 2024, there was $216.3 million spent on homelessness in the city of New Orleans. Where'd it go? I think we should all know where it went and how it was spent because, as you know, we had a large homeless population that was growing underneath the I-10s. The reason why the governor was able to come in is because under I-10 is dictated by um, it's a under the state and federal agencies, which is why they were able to go in, which is why the state had authority there. So you need to understand who is over what and where in the city and why the governor had the ability to go in. It's because the homeless were under the I-10, which is under federal and state guidelines. So, continuing with the offices that are under the mayor, the Office of Information Technology and Innovation, this is our IT department, facilitates effective, cost efficient use of technology by spearheading the assessment and deployment of technology based business management solutions and service delivery strategies. It's led by a director who reports to the mayor. I will say that New Orleans has a litany of really great online resources. It was one of my favorite offices when I was there. As y'all know, I was head of social media from 2018 through the beginning of 2021 before I left and I resigned from the city of New Orleans. But one of the things that I created while I was there, which I love, is NOLA.gov/apps, NOLA.gov/apps, APPS. It has a great a litany of information sources. You could stay there all day, maybe 30 days, and go through all of the different data points. But if you're one of those people who likes information and who just likes finding out different things, whether it be code enforcement, whether it be catch basins, when's the last time they cleaned it, down to road work, down to EMS, down to NOPD, they have all kind of NOPD crime stats. So you can go on there, NOLA.gov/apps. It has a list of all the applications in the city of New Orleans. I really encourage you to go and check that out. The next office, and this office was also created in the last couple of years, the Office of Nighttime Economy. It serves as a liaison to the nightlife industry, community, and city agencies. Works to advocate for nighttime cultural economy culture bearers. It's led by a director who reports to the mayor. The next office is the Office of Police Secondary Employment. So this is important. A lot of y'all hear about the police doing extra events and things like that, or like doing stuff on the side, where there is an actual office that coordinates this for them, and so they can do it appropriately. It is the Office of Police Secondary Employment, coordinates secondary police employment such as security, neighborhood patrols, school traffic management, special events, street closures, escorts, parades, second lines, K9 sweeps, and horse-mounted officer patrols. And so again, that is the Office of Police Secondary Employment. It is led by a director who reports to the mayor. Office of Resilience and Sustainability. So this office is currently where the Lincoln Beach is being overseen. So this office is currently overseen by is overseeing Lincoln Beach, and Lincoln Beach wants it to be moved under a department, and it wants it to be under capital projects. So that's the difference. So currently it is under the Office of Resilience and Sustainability. And this office manages the development of green infrastructure and stormwater projects, advises and crafts policy to ensure environmental stewardship and climate resilience in the city. It is led by a director who reports to the mayor. So now that you've heard me give a little synopsis of what that office does, you can see why Lincoln Beach does not want that office to be carrying this project, because it doesn't really seem to match what Lincoln Beach is all about. Again, the Office of Resilience and Sustainability manages the development of green infrastructure and stormwater projects, advises and crafts policy to ensure environmental stewardship and climate resilience in the city. The next one is the Office of Supplier Diversity. The Office of Supplier Diversity aims to achieve equity goals for socially and economically disadvantaged businesses to have greater access to procurement. It is led by a director who reports to the mayor. So this is where you see people, the DBE program that you've heard about, where they're supposed to have so much of city projects go to certain businesses. And this is how, like, your DEI, where if you really kind of read into DEI, there is a lot of women-owned businesses who are Caucasian, who are leading in some of these things. And you've heard that said, where certain things may not be going to people that you think they're going to. And so I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying you need to have clarity into where the money is going, because when you hear of a disadvantaged business program, a disadvantaged business enterprise, you think that it might be a person of color, and that is not the case, which is why you really need to have an understanding of what the Office of Supplier Diversity does. And if you are a small business in the city of New Orleans, I encourage you to go on the Office of Supplier Diversity's website and sign up for their programs so that you can be a vendor for the city of New Orleans. Next, the Office of Transportation. The Office of Transportation focuses on safe streets and transportation options for all, crafts policy to make transportation equitable across the city. It's led by a director who reports to the mayor. So with regard to RTA and all the bike lanes and all those changes that you've seen over the years, this is how it had come into fruition through the Office of Transportation. Next, the Office of Criminal Justice Coordination. The Office of Criminal Justice Coordination fosters system-wide communication and coordination throughout our justice system. It's led by a commissioner who reports to the mayor. So if you have any questions regarding the criminal justice system and why maybe there's miscommunication or anything like that, we have an Office of Criminal Justice Coordination who is specifically tasked with creating a system-wide communication and coordination throughout all of our system. It is led by a commissioner who reports to the mayor. So that is a list of all of the offices that are directly under the mayor. And it's important that I note that, because these offices are not under the city council. Now, the city council can call them and ask questions, but these offices are all of those directors report to the mayor directly. They're directly under the mayor. Now, I read all of that. You're like, oh, that is all the executive side. What is going on? Where does the city council come into this? Well, hold your horses, because here we go. Here's where the city council comes in, and here's where the legislative branch comes into their authority. So the city council holds the legislative power in New Orleans, and this extends to creating, amending, and repealing ordinances, resolutions, and other laws that impact the operation of city departments, offices, boards, and commissions. These ordinances can affect the structure, operation, and powers of city entities. So the city council is responsible for enacting laws that set the framework for how these departments and commissions function, and ensuring that their operations are consistent with the city's legislative goals and community needs. So this is important. The city council is responsible for creating these laws to create frameworks that all of these departments and all of these boards and commissions and things like that, well, not all of them for boards and commissions, but they're responsible for enacting the laws and set the framework for how these, especially departments, because they're under the city charter, but in commissions and all the ones that are in the city charter, and how that they function. So they are supposed to ensure that they function with regard to the legislative goals and community needs. So that is 100% important. So how do we get on these boards? How do we get on these commissions? What's going on with this? So the city council is tasked with approving certain appointments made by the mayor. So like I said, the mayor appoints all of these people, and the city council is tasked with approving certain appointments made by the mayor to various boards and commissions. This can include positions such as the Board of Zoning Adjustments, the Historic District Landmarks Commissions, and the New Orleans Redevelopment Authority. The council has the authority to confirm or reject the mayor's appointments to these boards, commissions, and certain executive positions within departments, ensuring that the appointments align with the city's interest and governance standards. Why this is important is because this was something that the residents voted on in the past couple years, because there has been a lot of turnover. And of course, you're not going to have every director that is perfect. We're not perfect, and we don't expect anyone else to be perfect. But we've had so much turnover and so many people who have been in these positions who we've seen after the fact who were not really prepared to walk in these roles and to lead these departments, that we've had a lot of problems. I can give you an example. The head of 311 911, we saw what has happened with regard to 311 911, and we have seen the turnover there, and we have really had some new leadership there. And so hopefully they have turned a new leaf, and the persons there who work there are feeling a little bit more confident. I know, like, when I was in a situation, I called 911 4 times, and it was an emergency life or death situation, and no one answered the phone. So that is definitely a department that people need. We know that when the residents and the children were in the burning building, just how important our dispatch system is to residents, and the necessity of having good leadership in those positions. Positions you may not think of every day, but really are life and death situations. So with regard to the oversight of city departments, while the city council is responsible for overseeing the operation of the city's executive departments, the mayor and the chief administrative officer, the CAO, directly manage the day-to-day operations. The city council monitors the effectiveness of these departments through hearings, reports, and inquiries. So the mayor and the CAO are supposed to be managing the day-to-day operations. The city council monitors, and they can call them to the table, the departments, through hearings, reports, and inquiries. So that is the difference. The city council members often hold public hearings where department heads or officials may be asked to explain how their respective departments are functioning, how budgets are being allocated, and how policies are being implemented. So that's what you see on a day-to-day basis. But who is supposed to be taking care of the day-to-day operations? That is the mayor and the CAO. Now, with regard to budget approval and appropriations, and this is important because you're like, who's holding the purse strings to all of these departments and offices? The city council. The city council is responsible for reviewing and approving the city's budget, which includes funding allocations for various departments, offices, boards, and commissions. While the mayor and the CEO propose the budget, the city council has the power to approve, modify, or reject parts of the budget. The council's role in budget oversight ensures that departments and commissions have the necessary resources to carry out their functions, while also maintaining accountability for how city funds are used, which is why you see the city council trying to hold I'm giving you examples as I go through, the funding for Lincoln Beach. They're trying to hold their feet to the fire because they only have a certain amount of money, and they don't, in the leaders of Lincoln Beach, as well as the residents, don't want all the money to go to consultants and not enough on actually building the beach and the amenities for residents. So we're like, hold up, stop spending all our money. We want y'all to check at this. But guess what? That's what they're supposed to do. So they don't get any like new balloon or a sticker from me. That's their role. The city council's role is budget oversight. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what you hired them to do. That's what they're supposed to do. They're also with regard to creating and modifying departments and agencies. The city council has the power to create, modify, or eliminate city departments or commissions through legislation. So this, again, is through legislation. It has to be through laws and things that are created. It has to go to a vote, things that were commissioned through legislation. It can't just be somebody decide to do it. If a new department or office is required, or if an existing one needs reorganization or structuring, the council can enact legislation to make these changes. For example, the council may pass laws establishing new agencies to address emergency issues like public health, homelessness, or economic development. And you've seen things like that happen. And so that's important. Now, addition to that, this is the last point for city council before I jump into, actually it's not. I'm going to jump into the boards and commissions in a minute. But the last portion of the city council is as they are an advisory and investigative role. And this is 100% important. The city council has an advisory and Let me start that over. Sorry, y'all. The city council has advisory and investigative function that allows it to investigate how city departments, offices, boards, and commissions are operating. This includes reviewing the performance of these entities, identifying issues, and proposing corrective measures or policy changes. So this is important because everybody's like, why is JP Morrell saying all this stuff? Why are you on the mayor's trail? Why this, that, and the other? It's his job. He is the city council president. And if you didn't know, the city council president changes every other year, depending on the who did it the year before that. They kind of choose at the beginning and they flip flop every year. Like Helena Moreno was the president, and then it was JP Morrell. Helena Moreno was the president during the recall. That's also important. And then JP Morrell is the president currently on this last year that the mayor has in office. So that is why you see JP Morrell speaking out, because it is literally his job. The council has an advisory and investigative function that allows it to investigate how city departments, offices, boards, and commissions are operating. This includes reviewing the performance of these entities, identifying issues, and proposing corrective measures or policy changes. It is literally their job. So, going on with the regulation of certain boards and commissions. The city council has a regulatory role over certain boards and commissions, particularly those that regulate public utilities, zoning, or licensing. This includes overseeing like Entergy, your electric bill, what's going on with those things. Talk to the city council. That's their issue. This includes overseeing how these bodies operate and ensuring that they are complying with the law. For example, the city council has oversight over the New Orleans Sewage and Water Board, the New Orleans Aviation Board, both of which impact public services and infrastructure in the city. So right now we saw something in the news with regard to the New Orleans Aviation Board. The mayor has oversight there as well. Not oversight. The mayor places people on the New Orleans Aviation Board, and the city council, part of their responsibility is they have oversight. So, in addition to that, the city council has approval of city contracts and agreements. The city council must approve certain contracts and agreements entered into by city departments and agencies. These can include large-scale construction projects, service contracts, and intergovernmental agreements. So once it's past a certain monetary amount, it must be approved by the city council. So certain things the mayor can just sign off on, certain things she can't. Certain things must be approved by the city council if they reach a certain level in monetary disbursements. And through these approval processes, the council ensures that the city's resources are being used efficiently and in the public interest. So this is how there are checks and balances in New Orleans city government. And so it's very important to know who does what and they're responsible for what, because you may be mad at somebody for actually doing their job, because you know what? We hadn't seen their job being done, so it was a shock that it was done. But that's the truth. And last but not least, with regard to legislative authority with the city council, the city council confirms or rejects nominees to various city positions, including the city attorney, the chief of police, and other important city officials who play a direct role in managing city functions. This confirmation process ensures that candidates for key positions meet the qualifications and standards required to serve the public effectively, because we had not seen that in the past. So that is something relatively new in the past years that the residents voted on and asked the city council to do. Adoptions of resolutions regarding city operations. The city council has the authority to adopt resolutions that express opinions, approve agreements, and request actions related to departments, offices, and boards. These resolutions may pertain to changes in operations, project approvals, or community issues. So that's what you see at a lot of these city council meetings. And if you didn't know, they are held publicly and they are streamed on YouTube. So if you did not know and you want to go catch up on some information with regard to any of these processes, the city council has a YouTube channel. You should go check it out. The city council is also responsible for securing public input, and that's why this is so important. Again, I said, go check out. We're supposed to be holding them accountable as well. So check them out. Their meetings are streamed live on YouTube, and they are there. You can go check out any of their past ones and just make sure that you are engaged. So again, the city council is responsible for securing public input on matters that affect city departments, boards, and commissions. That is often done through public meetings, hearings, and other community engagement activities. The council ensures that the city departments and boards remain accountable to the public, ensuring transparency and responsiveness to the needs of New Orleans residents. Why you see a breakdown in this right now? Because as you see, yes, the city council is responsible to making sure that they remain accountable, but these heads of these departments, their boss is the mayor. So if the mayor and the city council are not on the same page, there are problems and departments are being led kind of haphazardly, because if the city council is releasing the voice of the people and the mayor has her own opinion, then we're going to see confusion. And honestly, that's what you see now. You see a lot of confusion. They are not on the same page at all. And I think we can all agree with that. They've been hiding it for, pretty well for a bit, but I think it's been to a disservice to us, because when you don't tell us the truth, we can't help you. And so that's a lot of what's been going on. The residents of New Orleans has not been told the truth. And so I'm here to give you some information so that we can move forward with the rules, because we can't referee from afar if we do not know what's going on. So let me tell you what's going on so we can all get on in it. So boards and commissions in New Orleans, and this is going to be the end of it for today's show. Boards and commissions. New Orleans has over 100 boards and commissions, each addressing specific areas such as public safety, education, housing, economic development, and the list can go on and on. These entities are established through various legal means, including Louisiana state law, the Louisiana Constitution, the city's home rule charter, ordinances, and mayoral executive orders. The appointment and oversight for these boards and commissions. In general, the mayor appoints members to most boards and commissions. However, the city council must approve the appointments of individuals nominated by the mayor. This serves as a check and balance within the city's governance structure. And so what you've seen is right now there's been a lot of tug and pull right now, because the city council is trying to get more weight with regard to appointments and being able to appoint people to, let's give an example of the Sewage and Water Board and things of that nature. They may have been allowed to appoint maybe one person or things of that nature, but now they're trying to be able to have more governance. And with the boards and commissions right now, Jefferson Parish is trying to get more power on the aviation board. They have one seat now. They're trying to get another seat. They're like, it's in Kenner. We want to have more authority with regard to that. As you see with the RTA boards and things like that, they actually wanted to be off of the board because they were like, there's too much drama going on with the RTA board. Y'all can have that yourself. It really doesn't even serve our residents as much as you may have thought. And so we want to just stick with our own transportation system. So that's what you're seeing a lot of in New Orleans. And if you didn't know some of these things were going on, now you know you really need to be engaged and connect, because it's going down. So with regard to the boards and commissions, the city council confirms or rejects nominees to various city positions, including the city attorney, chief of police, and other important city officials who play a direct role in managing city functions. Like how I said, those are department roles. This confirmation process ensures that the candidates for key positions meet the qualifications to standards required to serve the publicly effectively. And so those were some departments. I was explaining the difference between the departments, and then they also do it for the boards and commissions. It may not be for every office that the mayor creates. So that's where you're going to see some of the changes. Moving down to public input and accountability. Oh, my live. Um, if you're watching me on TikTok, they say about 5 minutes left. So I'm trying to reach this down in here. If you don't see the rest, sorry, TikTok, we're going to have to time out on you. But boards and commissions. Some of the key examples of boards and commissions in the city of New Orleans are the Civil Service Commission, which oversees the city's civil service system, ensuring fair employment practices. So that is the boarding. That's the commission that is over our city workers. The Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. They regulate the sale and distribution of alcoholic beverages within the city. The Home Mortgage Authority. They focus on affordable housing initiatives and financing. The Board of Zoning Adjustments reviews and approves zoning vacancies and land use requests. The Historic District Landmarks Commission that preserves and protects the city's historic districts and landmarks. The New Orleans Redevelopment Authority manages urban renewal and redevelopment projects. The Public Belt Railroad Commission oversees the operation of the city's public railroad system. The New Orleans Aviation Board manages Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport. The New Orleans Sewage and Water Board is responsible for water, sewage, and drainage services. The New Orleans Public Library Board of Directors oversees the operations of the city's public library system. The New Orleans Museum of Art Board of Trustees manages the city's art museum and its collections. The New Orleans Recreation Development Commission, that's NORD, y'all, oversees recreational programs and facilities. The New Orleans Health Department Advisory Board advises on public health policies and initiatives. The New Orleans Housing Authority Board of Commission, that's HANO, y'all, manages public housing and related programs. New Orleans Ethics Review Board ensures that ethical conduct within city government is happening. And so these are just a handful of the boards and commissions. Like I said, there was over 100, and there's just so many of these. And so you need to know who does what and who is over what. And as I stated before, a lot of these boards and commissions, who appoints them? The mayor appoints members to most boards and commissions. So you need to know who does what. The city council does have approval on some of these boards and commissions, but not all. The mayor really does have their hand in all of these boards and commissions. And I'm not speaking about a person, I'm speaking about the position. And that's the information we're giving here today. This is Faith in Politics, and we need to be able to educate ourselves so we know what's going on in the city of New Orleans. We cannot referee from afar if we don't know the rules of the game. So that is what I'm here to do. I am here to give you the rules of the game. I know today's show started a little bit different. It came out with a little bit of prophecy today because the Lord has had it with people lying to us. The Lord has had it with people lying on us. And vengeance is the Lord, and it is coming in hot. And right now, I don't have an opinion because I'm over being lied on. If you have something to say, if you have a question, ask me. All these third-party conversations, why? It's only for attention purposes. If you have something with regard to me, I talk to everybody. I am open. My DM is open. People know I'm like, let's talk. Let's have a conversation because I don't have any issue with anybody. I'm team God. If you're on the other team, then you will have an issue with me. And that's just on jump. But that's not my issue. That's your issue. I'm here to spread some information. I'm here to help people. And it just is what it is. I encourage everyone to speak up in their sphere of influence because I'm not going to stop talking because it's for the good of the people. And when you educate people and you give them information, it only helps people because when we have more people in the game, knowing the rules, it's just more beneficial to everyone in New Orleans. So that's what I'm about. I'm about building faith in politics. And that's what this podcast is all about. Faith in Politics Today, Empowering New Orleans. And as you all know, or if you don't know, I wrote a book. It is on Amazon. I'm actually waiting for a box of them today. So if you're interested in getting a signed copy, let me know. I'm really excited and proud of this project. I never thought I'd be an author, but here I am. I'm an author. And so I encourage you to get the book for you and your family, Faith in Politics Today, Empowering New Orleans, a guide to civics, resources, and civic engagement, because civic engagement is what's going to root out corruption and help us build a stronger New Orleans. And so right now, New Orleans is going through the cleanse. We will see a lot more of it. Clutch your pearls because it is what it is. And then New Orleans will be going through a revival situation. And so reckoning comes before reset. It just is what it is. And so I encourage you to get in your word, walk the narrow path, and to do better and to love your neighbor, care about our neighborhoods. And when we do that together, we can all create a difference. So thanks so much for tuning in to Faith and Politics today. I am Eileen, and I appreciate and love each and every one of you. I'm out. Bye, G. See you later. And last but not least, my YouTube family. Oh, YouTube, thank you so much for just sticking this out with me and all that you do and all the years where, come on here with my prophecy and everything else. I may pop on more frequently just to drop some prophecy. I don't know. The Lord has just been stirring it up in my spirit. We are not going to be quiet anymore. We're going to speak up, and the Lord is going to have me speak up in different ways soon and very soon. I'm excited about my journey, and I'm just really excited and appreciative that you all have been so supportive through all these years. So thanks so much.